Well, salutations, kindred spirits, greetings, and welcome to our Svengali deck teach-in. Yeah, it's the Svengali deck, which is hard to say, but it's real easy to use, as this is a trick deck of cards. In fact, it's the quintessential trick deck that most beginners start with, and there's a lot of things you can do with this deck. I'm going to teach you most of them in this video. For example, this, you can have your spectator pick the card you want, and for this demonstration, I want you to have the 6 of spades. Just remember that. I'm going to use the top card of the deck, a 7. This allows me to just take 1 pip off of that card. I could transform it into the 6, and now that looks like a magic trick. Alternatively, I could take another card in the deck, change that into the 6. I could take another card, or if you'd like, you can take every card in the deck, transform them all into the spectator's selected card. What is going on here? Well, this is the power of the Svengali deck. It is a trick deck of cards, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about what makes it work. We'll do an unboxing, we'll talk about an easy routine that you can learn, we'll look at my favorite trick, and then we'll take a look at some advanced concepts that even fast companies should find useful. So that's the plan for today. Let's get started with an unboxing. Alright, let's unbox this Svengali deck, the Svengali deck. And hey, if you bought this, if you purchased one from Cardshark.com, congratulations on getting a quality professional grade bicycle gaff deck. It does come with written instructions. I will not teach everything in here, so do yourself a favor, read through those. You'll learn a little extra stuff. And we'll examine the pack. Let's take a look at this in 2 halves. First half of the deck, regular cards. Random, pasteboards, just regular, indifferent cards. The second half of the deck, if you've looked at this, you'll see they're all duplicates. Now, my deck is the 6 of spades. Yours will likely be different. We're just going to refer to the duplicates as the force card. And this is what a Svengali deck does best. It forces your spectator to pick a specific card or to land on one at a specific location. Now, the 6s are not normal. They have been shaved. Each one of them is about a millimeter shorter, just a fraction of an inch shorter than the rest of the normal cards. Now, this means a few things. Let's start with the deck in Svengali position, and this is every other card needs to be a 6 of spades. Now, I shuffle into this with the Pharaoh shuffle. That's kind of an advanced handling, and I'll touch base on some advanced techniques at the end of this tutorial, so stay tuned for that. But however you do it, you want to stack your Svengali deck so that every other card is a short force card, in this case the 6 of spades, and that condition runs all the way through the pack. We're going to begin with the short card atop the pack, and this brings us to the first principle. Handling the deck by the ends, by the short ends with the thumb and the fingertips, will ensure that a 6 is always on top of the pack. This is often done with just a straight cut of the deck, and again, there's our 6. Because it's shorter, the fingers can't go in to grab it, and this is an important principle that we'll use for a few things. The next one is the force, which is done in this position, where you would riffle through the deck and ask your spectator to say stop, and guess what card they'll pick. No matter where they stop, as you drop the cards from hand to hand, when the cards fall off your thumb, and note my fingertips are the base for the short ends, I've got my forefinger curled on back for a little tension, and then the cards drop off the thumb, it happens automatically that they fall in pairs. So to force a spectator, you just have them say stop anywhere. Now, note this technique is maybe a little more challenging, or if you have small hands, you might have trouble doing this. An alternative, an easier procedure, is just to clamp the deck between your thumb and your fingers. You can have the smallest hands in the world to do this, and then you just riffle with your fingertip. And again, your spectators will see all indifferent cards. It's just not as clean as showing them in this fashion, where they get a full view of the full face of the card. So from here, again, you can have your spectator say stop, they'll get a 6 of spades, or you can have them put their finger in as you're riffling through the deck, and they will get the 6 of spades. So those are 2 important things, along with the positioning. Every other card is a force card. You start with a force card on top of the deck, and then riffling the deck in this fashion, you can proceed to have your spectator pick the force card. With this knowledge, you can do a nice little routine, and we'll showcase that right now. All right, so armed with the knowledge that every other card in the deck is the 6 of spades, along with the fact that we can make our spectator pick a 6 of spades, with those 2 bits of information, you can really do a nice, easy routine. And here's an example of how you might go about that. Begin by having your spectator select the card. So riffle through the pack, ask them to say stop. Of course they're going to stop and get the 6 of spades. You're going to begin by divining that card. Now don't step on it. Don't just go, your card's a 6 of spades. Milk it a little bit. So hey, just say stop anywhere. Look at the card, and what I want you to do is concentrate just on the color of the card. Concentrate, was it a black? It was a black card, so it was shaped like a, was it a spade? You thought of was it the 6 of spades that you thought of? Wow. So do something that like act surprised, build up the moment. Don't just say, you picked the 6. Kind of steps on the moment. So easy beginner trick. Just say stop and then divine the selection. Now once you've done that, you might say, okay, we know what it is, but now we don't know where it is. 52 possibilities. I'll give you a chance to find it. First, let me make a cut. Now I'm cutting at the ends. Cutting at the ends, remember, brings a short card to the top. That means every other short card is an odd card. So now when I say, hey spectator, name a number between 1 and 52. No matter what number they name, I can get to the selected card. Now, we'll take an example. Let's say they say 7. Because all the odd cards are short, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you land on an odd card, turn it over to display the spectator's selection. Let's say they name 8. If they name 8, an even card, just count past it and nonchalantly turn over the next card. Note that you can also show the card after it and before it as indifferent. Those are nice sell points that lock in the fact that your spectator could have named any number. And let me tell you, having any card picked appearing at any number, this is a very strong effect. So we have 2 good pieces of magic, one after the other, divining the selection, and then the spectator discovers the selection by just naming a number. Now, to wrap up the routine, I'm going to suggest this showcase, which maybe you could present it in this fashion. You say, people think I can look and see where the card is. So here, we're going to use a little danger, and we're going to wrap the deck in a shroud of darkness that will prevent me from seeing where any card is. You can actually have your spectator do this, or you do it yourself. What you do is jam the knife in the pack, and then you split the deck at that spot, and you'll either land on the selection here, or the next card in line will be the selection. This is known as the card stab, and again, you can show the cards after it and before it to be indifferent. And this creates the impression that you can blindly locate a card by stabbing a knife into the pack. And this is a nice, I would think, finish for a triple series of effects. So there's your easy routine. Divine the selection, have your spectator then give you any number where you locate the card at that spot. Pretend to lose it back in the deck with a few cuts. Later on, I'll show you about shuffling the Svengali deck. You can do that as well, and that makes a nice lead-in to the card stab as a finale for a nice 3-trick routine. Give it a little practice, and hey, go blow some minds. All right, before we talk about my favorite trick, let's discuss the opening sequence of this tutorial where I transformed the top card into the selection and subsequently changed the deck into the selection, which is not really a moment I recommend. I really don't recommend changing the deck into the same card. If you do this, here's what you're doing. You're giving up the fact that you're using a trick deck. I mean, it's too good to be true, so people will kind of have retrograde analysis and figure it out. The technique I want you to learn here is this one. This is where you show the top card and then change it into the 6. And this is done with a technique normally used with sleight of hand, the double lift, picking 2 cards off the top of the deck as one. This is attainable easily with the Svengali deck because those force cards are shorter. It's basically automatic. If you lift by the ends, by the short ends, and just try to pick up the top card, you'll get 2 cards. Now, you can see the short card leaves it a little askew. For that reason, I suggest you give it a little bend. So as you pick up the card, run it off the edge of the deck and bend it slightly. This will allow your spectator to assume that is 1 card. Transition by putting both cards on the deck and then deal the top card off. And now you're prepared to show the transformation into the spectator selection. It's this moment that is applicable to many tricks with the Svengali deck, and certainly important in my favorite trick. Let's take a look at that now. Alright, if I had to pick just one trick to do with the Svengali deck, I'm going to pick this one. And also note that this trick is a great opener for a routine. So once you're comfortable with the deck, consider this as the opening sequence for that easy routine I showed you earlier. It starts with the magician selecting a card, so I'm just going to use the 9 of clubs. That'll be my selection, which goes under the box. And then your spectator gets to pick a card too. I'm just going to randomly grab one. I wonder which one it'll be. So there's your card, spectator. Remember what it is and watch as I tap the deck. You know what that does when I tap? It hurts. It hurts my finger. Oh, also it brings one card to the top, right to the... Oh, wait a minute. That was my card under the... You don't suppose your card is... What? And yeah, that's the old swapperoo, the 2-card transpo. Tricks don't get much better than this, not card tricks anyway. And here's how you do this. If you're comfortable with the double lift and forcing a card, you're going to have no problem here. Start with the force card on top of the deck. Again, we're going to handle it by the ends to get it there. And then as you apparently show the top card to the deck, you execute the double lift. This is what we discussed earlier, taking the top 2 as 1. And you set the top 2 down and deal the top card off under the box. So you're way ahead of the spectator. They think that's the card that's here. Now we say, oh, you need one too. Just say stop anywhere. And of course, they will pick the force card. All that you have to do is a little presentation. I do the hurt joke. It hurts my finger. And then you say it makes it come right to the top. But that's my card, not yours. Your card is what? Yeah, the 6 of spades. That trick leaves nothing to be desired, and then as mentioned, if you want to continue the routine, just put the 6 on top, cut it into the middle, and now we're in position to do card at any number, or a card stab, or something of that nature. So, the 2-card transpo, that's my favorite trick. Alright, before leaving the tutorial, I did want to discuss a few advanced concepts, some shuffle ideas, some interesting displays. The first is to use the Pharaoh shuffle to shuffle into the stack. So to do that, you start with all of your regular cards above all your force cards. I'll often show these and then do a little false shuffle, just shuffling the face cards. I don't shuffle into the bottom pack. And when I'm ready to shuffle into the Svengali deck, I cut at the step, and this is a natural separation where the short cards meet the long cards. And then I execute this Pharaoh, or a butt weave, at the corners of the deck. And what this does is weave every other card with every other card. This is the Pharaoh shuffle, and this is what allows you to shuffle into the Svengali setup. This is not a gimme, it'll take some practice, and if you need a little more details on the move, I'd suggest YouTube. I do have a brief tutorial on the Pharaoh shuffle, there's others there as well, and that's a great way to introduce and set up your Svengali deck. Now, here's a couple other shuffle ideas. One is a riffle shuffle, this style. Because the cards fall off your thumb in pairs, this means when you do a shuffle like this, or even onto the table, the cards will not, sometimes you'll get 1 or 2 mixed. Most effects that doesn't matter, but note how every other card in this deck is still a 6 of spades, because they fall off your thumb in pairs. You can also simulate an overhand style mix, which is this style shuffle. This is a mix that'll put a 6 at the face. So from behind, what I'm doing here is basically cutting packets. So I'm not really shuffling with my thumb. I'm letting those packets pop off and controlling what pops off by releasing the short card. That'll put a short card at the face, and to finish this sequence, you'll want to cut at the ends, bringing the short card back to the top. And now you're back into your Svengali deck setup. So there's a couple of shuffle options, the Pharaoh, the riffle, the overhand. Let's talk about the table displays. One that I use a lot, which simulates a ribbon spread, is this. And I could show you this face up. To do that, I'll cut one of the force cards to the face of the deck just by handling the deck by the end. Same concept, it comes to the face. So if you did want to show the deck consisting of 52 duplicate cards, this little ribbon spread is a nice way to do it. I don't do this that often because I don't like to show the cards all the same, but if you choose to do it, just dropping the cards in pairs off your fingers, that's a nice way to do so. Alternatively, you can do it in this fashion with the deck face down. I'm going to cut the deck by the ends again, bringing my force card to the top. If you ribbon spread the deck in this fashion face down, you can ask your spectator to touch any card. And because they're falling in pairs, the top card is always going to be one of the force cards. So unless they dig underneath, but you're just going to verbally guide them to not do that. So there's a couple of advanced ideas on displaying the deck, either using the ribbon spread drop to have your spectators touch a card, or to use it from the face of the deck to effect a full deck transformation. Okay, so that's the scoop. Now you have some advanced tactics. If you're a beginner, you have a good easy routine, some easy tricks to work on. You'll certainly want to put in the time to get good at the double lift. This is the transition to open up so many great effects. And note, there's a lot more great effects than what I've talked about today. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm going to encourage you to research some of the hundreds of published items out in Magicdom, and I'll let you do that now as I thank you once again for spending some time with me. I always appreciate the energy, the attention, and that's going to be a wrap. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.